Dark tithings and spooky greetings, my fellow watchers and players of spooky stuff. I am your point and creep host, Be Normal, and today let us thank THX 11280.
I would love to see a video of your top 5 point-and-click horror games.
As if I needed an excuse to talk about niche, spooky forms of media entertainment. Now, first of all, what is a point-and-click adventure / horror game? Well, how about the definition? Games with an emphasis on exploration, storytelling, puzzle solving, probably some dialogue, and most likely the filling of inventory space with everything not nailed down. All, of course, accomplished through the act of pointing and clicking.
Sorry, I mean clever lateral thinking exercises, of course.
And all of this just wrapped in a spooky horror-inspired bow. Now, within the realm of adventure games, we also have another 3 subgenres or sub-styles to consider. There is, of course, the ever-famous FMV or full-motion video style of game. You know, the ones with actors on blue screen backgrounds. Then there is, of course, the famous first-person POV games. And then there is the type we will be focusing on today, the traditional classic third-person style. And as always, essential does not mean best. These are my opinions, and this list has been curated to suit both newcomers and veterans of the adventure game genre alike. So without further Mountain Dew, spooky people in the audience, may I present 5 essential point-and-click horror adventure games. Third-person Classic Edition. Now, Harlan Ellison was an interesting little guy.
Well, I see myself as a writer. I'm a professional liar.
And of course, him being a very hands-on kind of guy, he helped adapt one of his darkest tales into a PC adventure game.
Oh, we shouldn't block the game.
The
No
game.
blocking, please.
I despise computer games. I think they are one of the they are second only to golf as being the greatest time waste the human race has ever
So
invented.
why do you say that?
1995's I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. The story of a megalomaniacal supercomputer called AM.
You son of a bitch! You've cleared my mind but crippled my legs.
AM has all but wiped humanity from the face of the earth, except for 5 little humans who it takes great pleasure in torturing for all time, and in wondrous and terrible ways.
What hellhole did that godless machine put me in this time?
These 5 eternally trapped souls must each endure a personalized hell, lovingly crafted by Am himself, as a vaguish attempt at making up for their horrible little lives. The game is quite grim and dark, as it often deals with some really unhappy concepts and themes. Your goal as each of the playable characters is in essence not to just survive and escape, but to actually improve upon themselves morally and or to reflect on what they are being punished for by Am.
No, this is an ethical game. This is taken from my short story, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
Yeah.
And the machine has brought the last 5 people alive on Earth down into the center of the Earth to torment them eternally. And you lead the adventures of these 5 people as they try to, in some way, retain their dignity.
Well, plus, Harlan Ellison himself even voices Am.
AM. AM. Not just Allied Master Computer, but AM. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am.
There really is something interesting about how different studios made different games. LucasArts games always feel like LucasArts games, and Sierra games always feel like Sierra games. But when we move out of that fairly large Venn diagram, we get to experience some cool and spooky stuff like 1998's Sanitarium. Sanitarium is a surreal and dark delving into the mind of someone who is, well, out of theirs.
Diagnosis crazy.
The world is viewed from an isometric perspective and takes place across several chapters where we delve deeper into the psyche and history of the protagonist, alternating between being our sanatorium wandering selves, a metaphorical representation of our sister in a carnival, an alien resistance fighter, or even an Aztec god. My favorite part, though, has to be the village of strangely mutated vegetable children.
Why does your sister call you Mushhead?
Because she says my head looks like I got put in a blender.
As not only does it have some of the creepiest imagery of the game, you also get to battle a scarecrow with a scythe. You guys know me by now. If I can get a Lovecraftian thing in somewhere on a list, then I am putting a Lovecraftian thing somewhere on a list. It's just how we roll here at Beyond Normal. And instead of a straightforward Lovecraftian adventure game like Gibbous, a Cthulhu Adventure, I think we should rather take a look at the slightly weirder and older title, Call of Cthulhu, Shadow of the Comet.
How horrific! Ah! My heart!
So, first of all, old school infograms type of game, so very much yay if you are into those types of games. Second of all, Shadow of the Comet is the story of young photographic investigator John Parker, ignoring the weird typo that's constantly gonna come up.
Poor Parker, so young, and already in the next world.
John Parker, who wishes to investigate and photograph the passing of Halley's Comet in scenic and remote fishing port Ilsmouth. Yes, you heard that right. Not dirty and gross fish people town Innsmouth, but rather culty, cosmological, and only ever so slightly fishy town Ilsmouth.
Just arrived in charming fishing port of Ilsmouth.
So you know how Call of Cthulhu itself is an RPG game system? By Chaosium? Now, I always judge these Call of Cthulhu type games based on if it felt as if I had a good Call of Cthulhu RPG surrogate experience.
Call of Cthulhu is a cosmic horror game. Your characters are not the most powerful creatures in the world. They are small compared to these ancient otherworldly threats. If you're not careful, your characters in the game can end up dead or crazy, as encountering such monsters from the beyond isn't something humanity is built for.
No, that's why I want to play something labeled Call of Cthulhu. Did it feel like I was very much a person in this world, unraveling a deeper plot regarding dark forces and cosmic encounters beyond my comprehension, all whilst talking to locals, investigating locations, and solving puzzles? Shadow of the Comet is a Lovecraftian investigative experience to behold. Plus, it feels like I get to be friends with copyright infringement Vincent Price and Jack Nicholson in this game.
We'll stop by at my place for something to eat. Then we'll get ready and go. Okay?
Now, I really struggled with the penultimate part of this list. Primarily, I wanted to suggest something like the Charnel House trilogy. It's not really a trilogy though, so ignore the name. Again, it's a trip down someone's psyche as if they're spiraling out of mental stability. As you help them board a spooky as f*** train. But upon replaying it, although still really enjoyable, I just found it's absolutely too easy. As in, if you at all play point and clicks, you will just steamroll through this thing. So because of this, Charnel House gets a pseudo-honorary mention, but ultimately 2014's The Lost Door. I guess collection 1 and 2, you have to look at it that way. A very unsettling, very minimalist, very tense bit of Victorian ghost story where you must uncover the forbidden history that surrounds you. If there is one word to describe the Lost Door vibes, it would be spooky. However, be forewarned, as I mentioned in the beginning, you will also need to play The Lost Door Season 2 in order to complete the Tale of Darkness. Now, if you were to end up only trying one singular game from today's haunting recommendation, my dear friends, then may it be the amazingly camp New Orleanian noir masterpiece from Sierra, 1993's Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers. You play as struggling author and bookstore owner Gabriel Knight, researching a series of voodoo murders going on in the city of New Orleans for a book that he is working on.
What can you tell me about voodoo? What do you know about the voodoo murders? How many murders have there been so far? What can you tell me about voodoo? What can you tell me about voodoo?
Sins of the Fathers is a wonderfully immersive and brain-tickling experience unlike any other.
Hey, mostly. Huh? Knight, you wiener, I told you not to call me that.
And the game is not only expertly written and visually presented, it is also, in fact, voiced by top-notch actors.
The things I do for my art.
Most notably, Tim Curry as Gabriel.
This is a newspaper clipping about a murder committed in 1810. That murder is an exact match of the voodoo murders, right down to the marks around the bodies.
Gabriel Knight is very, very cool and impossibly handsome. And of course they came to me.
And Mark Hamill as Detective Mosley.
Give me back my badge. Now, Knight!
And if for some reason you absolutely cannot stand the idea of pixely Tim Curry, there is also a beautiful 20th year anniversary remake of the game available to you.
It lives, I see. Do you want to speak with Lolita?
The remake also has all manner of cool little additions, including hints, a whole new cast, behind-the-scene bits, and much, much more.
You know, you have a unique way of wearing clothes that's, well, the way they kind of hang, pleating over that stomach of yours, drooping off your butt.
We can't all have the body of a 12-year-old like you, Knight.
But sadly, no Tim Curry.
Any new way to infiltrate myself into your minds.
And there you have it. A brief list of five-ish, classically styled third-person point-and-click adventure games. A list that could easily balloon into crazy proportions. I mean, have you guys seen how many cool adventure games are out there? If I could make this list like 100 suggested point-and-click games, I think I would easily still be able to do that. And I mean, plus, we haven't even touched on any of the FMV-type adventure games. And I mean, I really do love Harvester, and I would love to tell you why I recommend it. And even the Gabriel Knight sequel, you know, that's FMV and freaking amazing. But then there's also like a lot of like cool first-person POV Myst clones. And I mean, there's a selection of those that are really worth looking into. Like, I mean, do you know of Sierra's Lighthouse, the Dark Being? But anyway, that is all from me. As always, I have been your ever spooky host, Be Normal. Remember to save your spirits early and to save your ghosts often, and I will spook to you again soon.